Welcome to another Foxy Games UK news video. Hope you're all doing well out there. Listen, I've just seen the new Phantom Blade Zero PS5 trailer, the Gamescom trailer. Wow. Look, between Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Lost Soul Aside, and Where the Wind Meets, these are all incredible games being developed either by Sony's China Play project, or whether they call it, or the development in Asia separately from Sony, are just throwing up some amazing AAA bangers for PlayStation. It seems Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro really have proven super influential in the action RPG genre, and those are Western developed games, I believe, or at least Ghost of Tsushima is. Now, I just want to say, Black Myth Wukong, splendid, stunning game on PS5, sadly being downplayed because it's not yet available on a certain other console. Picking on the game, saying it runs like trash on PS5, don't play it on PS5, play it on PC, blah blah blah. And this is always in rebuttal, you know, this over emotional response anytime you mention the reason why Black Myth Wukong is not available on Xbox Series consoles, because Microsoft have a policy that the game must release on both platforms, and Series S is likely the technical issue here, the one holding back the release of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox. I mean, I'd love to see this game on the Xbox. I think the Xbox fan base would love this game, but you know, you can't get around the fact that if you mention Xbox Series S, anytime games are not coming to Xbox or delayed on Xbox, they come out with, but the PS5 version runs like trash. The game doesn't perform well on 4090 PCs. The game's super unoptimized. It's nothing to do with Series S. It can run Starfield at 80 frames. And at the end of the day, it doesn't run like crap on PS5. If you look at the Digital Foundry analysis, the performance mode generally runs pretty much up to 60 FPS with some small dips in some places. It's the actual heavy use of upscaling in that mode that really lets the game down, with that FSR3 frame generation, not really suitable for this type of high action level game. The balance mode, they for some reason it's stuck at 45 frames per second, pretty much how God of War was in performance mode on the original PS4. And then you've got the quality mode, which is not even locked at 30. If it was, it would be a much better experience. It is fluctuating 30, so 31 to 34 to 35, it goes up, it goes down. So, and this is because of the lack of experience with consoles that Game Science, the development studio, has. They're primarily PC developers. They, all of the experience on the PC side of things, not on console, and this is their first console game. Give them a break. Allow them to update the game and, drop patches. Everybody else, patch after patch after patch until the games run smoothly. That's unfortunately the nature of the business these days. But yeah, people are knocking it, saying, the sales, 80% of them in China, downplaying the success of this game. Literally downplaying the success of Black Myth Wukong by saying hardly anyone in the West bought it. Nonsense. Listen, I got a lot of people on my PlayStation friends list, and I know this is a very small sample. It's not indicative of everybody. However, a lot of people I see are playing Black Myth Wukong on my PlayStation friends list. And not only that, China is the largest country. It's got the highest population of people on the planet. So of course there's going to be more sales in China on the PC. And if I draw your attention to an article that was posted by NicoPartners.com, all links available in the description. Well, Nico Partners have reported that Black Myth Wukong has broken records on day one. An action RPG developed by Chinese studio Game Science has had an extremely successful launch following its release on August 20th for both PS5 and PC. The high sales, particularly in China, reflect the continued industrialization of Chinese game development, the growing global influence of Chinese studios, and shifting consumer preferences in China. Black Myth Wukong reached over 2.2 million peak concurrent users on Steam within its first 24 hours, making it the most popular single-player game on Steam in the platform's history. It also ranks second among all games, trailing behind PUBG, which peaked at 3.2 million. And I believe the game has now sold in excess of 5 million copies across PC and PS5. Obviously, the majority of those sales will be on the PC. Like I stated, China has a higher population just in that country alone. So, and a lot of those sales are on PC, where PC is the predominant platform in China. So yeah, the game first announced back in August 2020 draws heavily from Chinese mythology and is based on the classic novel Journey to the West, featuring Sun Wukong, or the Monkey King, as its protagonist. The high-end graphics, extremely high-end I would add, and transformational gameplay and cultural connection resonated strongly with Chinese gamers, with the debut trailer surpassing 55 million views on video platform Bilibili. And for those who don't know, Bilibili is like the Chinese equivalent of YouTube. This made it the most viewed game trailer of all time on that platform. The initial interest, ongoing trailer releases and marketing push translated into more than 4 million gamers wishlisting the title on Steam. Before the launch, it became the most wishlisted game on the platform in early 2024. Now, Black Myth Wukong's strong performance in China is primarily attributable to continued access to the international version of Steam, which is accessible without a VPN. More than 93% of the 250,000 reviews on Steam are in simplified Chinese. Sorry if I'm getting carried away here, but this is phenomenal stuff for an unheard of studio who's just cutting its chops in the West on a fantastic game. Its first game on console. The first game. Think about that. This is further demonstrating the overwhelming popularity of the game in China, with Asia accounting for 82% of this, breaking the previous record set on Cyberpunk's 2077 launch day in 2020. So the game's success isn't confined to just digital platforms. Physical editions of the game, including the collector's and deluxe editions, sold out within seconds on JD.com, as more than 700,000 gamers signed up for a chance to purchase the limited set of 30,000 copies. Wow, this is phenomenal stuff. I'm really happy for Game Science, which capitalized on this interest by partnering with brands like Lenovo to ensure their PC hardware was optimized for the game, with 1.7 billion views on Weibo during the launch day, and the game was even covered by national news programs in China. Now, the success of Black Myth Wukong drew international media attention, like Nico Partners CEO Lisa Cosmas Hansen talked to Bloomberg about how Black Myth Wukong propels PS5 sales and demonstrates Chinese gamers' appetite for high-quality games. So yeah, PS5 is doing phenomenally well in China as we speak. More than twice the sales and momentum of the PS4 achieved during its tenure. Now, Nico Partners has been able to track the success of the title on game live streaming platforms in China using a suite of data tools. According to Nico Partners' China Games and Streaming Tracker, Black Myth Wukong was the most watched game on Huya, Douyu, and Bilibili on its release day. These are social media platforms, surpassing other popular titles such as League of Legends, Honor of Kings, and Valorant. According to Nico's index, the game had 29 million views across 3 platforms on launch day, with Bilibili accounting for around 74% of all viewers. More than 1 million was tipped or donated to streamers that played the game on that day, and it was a record-breaking launch for a single-player game on the Chinese gaming livestream platforms, surpassing even Cyberpunk 2077's metrics back in 2020. As I say, the China Games and Streaming Tracker offers a window into a black box domestic streaming platform to support the games industry in the understanding of the most popular game streamers and overall engagement. So yeah, the success of Black Myth Wukong highlights a significant shift in the global video game landscape for both Chinese and non-China based developers. Listen, make an amazing game, make a high quality game that's interesting, and people will buy it. It's not rocket science, no brainer. So first, the broader implications of the success cannot be overlooked. It signals that Chinese studios are ready to compete directly with established Western and Japanese developers in the premium AAA space. Game Science's transition from mobile game development to creating a world-class AAA title backed by heavyweights like Tencent and Hero Games is a path that Chinese game developers are already trying to follow with growing success. And Sony got in there early because Sony are working with a number of Chinese game development studios for its China project over at PlayStation. Smart move there. Now, second, the game's popularity reflects changing consumer preferences within China. According to Nico Partners' China Gamer Behavior and Market Insights report, free-to-play games accounted for nearly 90% of total player spending last year, with mobile accounting for 68.7% of total spend and over 90% of players. The overturning of the console ban in 2014 gave access to international versions of Steam. Games like Overwatch 2016, one of the first successful premium games in China, which sold over 10 million units, has shown that Chinese players are willing to pay for premium experiences, and Black Myth Wukong further solidifies this trend. A lot of people like to say the Chinese market, they just do piracy, pirate games. No, they actually buy games. And piracy is everywhere. Everywhere. Just because you bought a fake Gucci bag, off of one of those Chinese websites, do not, brandish the entire Chinese population as just piracy. So yeah, there you have it. While console has historically remained niche in China, despite the overturning of the console ban in 2014, the PlayStation 5 is selling 2 times faster than its predecessor, that's PS4, in the country, and has become an established platform alongside the Nintendo Switch. A limited time deal on PS5 that is running during the week has led to a surge in sales for the console that further cements these changing gamer preferences in the market. It looks like Black Myth Wukong has done wonders for PS5 sales. So in conclusion, Black Myth Wukong is more than just a one-off success story. It represents the growing capabilities and ambitions of Chinese game development studios and their ability to compete on the global stage. And I, for one, am very happy because we get to see those stories. I grew up on Kung Fu movies, yeah? And they gave me an insight into Chinese culture. So I'm very glad that, we're getting a different, diverse landscape of gaming, that China's now involved. Now, while non-Chinese based developers will need to acknowledge and contend with these new challenges, it also represents an opportunity for collaboration and learning, aka PlayStation working with Chinese developers. At the same time, the success of games as a premium title signals a broader shift in market dynamics within China and represents an opportunity for non-China based developers to benefit from geographic expansion and existing AA and AAA offerings. This is fantastic. This is a wonderful read. I implore you to go and find a link in my video description and read this for yourself. I've never enjoyed reading an article so much. Really, I love that. It's so insightful, and really a boost is really required in the games industry right now. And I think this is it. Bringing other key players in with new experiences and fantastic AAA content is just what we needed at this conjuncture. Sound off in the comments if you agree. Moving on to our next news story, this time courtesy of InsiderGaming.com. Well, the mystery behind the Black Myth Wukong Xbox delay has been uncovered, and let me tell you, it is nothing to do with some secret timed exclusivity deal between Sony and Game Science. So, according to the article, Black Myth Wukong is already one of the most successful video games of the year, as detailed in the last article, breaking records and soaring up player charts on PS5 and PC. Players have been enjoying it, with reviews praising the game. However, one segment of players that hasn't been able to play Black Myth Wukong at all are Xbox gamers. Now, of course, they can play it if they have a PC or PS5, but for those stubborn heads who only own an Xbox Series X or S, or perhaps they can only afford that console, well, the game still isn't available, so what's going on with it? Well, the latest on Black Myth Wukong on Xbox tells us that the game was originally scheduled to release on consoles alongside the PC and PlayStation before it was revealed in June to not be coming at the same time. Then, later that month, Xbox issued a statement, a rather misleading statement on the game's delay on the console, really gaslighting the situation, saying that they were excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to other platforms, and then went on to say that they cannot comment on any deals with other companies, to sort of suggest to its user base, its player base, that perhaps Sony or another company were behind this, preventing it from coming onto Xbox, which we now know is not the case. And now that the game is out, there's a bit of an update as to what's going on. According to Forbes' Paul Tassi, Black Myth Wukong not being on Xbox isn't a case of Sony snatching up any sort of console exclusivity agreement with developers' game sites. Instead, it's Microsoft's own consoles and their policies causing the hiccups. Here's a quote. The bad news is that once again, Xbox seems to have blundered into Baldur's Gate 3 situation. Tassi went on to say that the reason the game didn't make it to Xbox at launch is because of a tech issue, Xbox Series S. While the specific issue isn't mentioned in the report, it does seem to imply that the game isn't running on Xbox Series S as well as it should, which is not a surprise because, yeah, the PS5 version could do with a little bit of work. Now, Microsoft's policy since the console launch of games coming to both Xbox Series X and S seems to have backfired once again because they forced developers to release on both consoles simultaneously with no let-up at all. Now, Insider Gaming has reached out to Microsoft on this claim, but a rep simply passed along the same old statement from June that was also sent to Tassi, and you can read that in full in the article. Go to it, or I'll read it to you now if you like. Here's a quote. We're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with game science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. Yeah, corporate speak, which absolutely means nothing. When do you think Black Myth Wukong will finally come to Xbox? This year? 2025? Is Xbox really helping with development? I know people like to point to, well, they got Starfield running on Xbox Series X with high frame rates, blah, blah, blah. Well, the frame rate sacrifice to get it running there is on the resolution, 540p, sometimes lower. Not only that, it wasn't at launch. It took an exceptional amount of manpower, to get that game even running beyond 60 FPS, let alone 120 FPS mode, which barely hits 120 FPS. It's probably around 80 FPS on the lowest settings. So yeah, it's a fallacy that there's nothing wrong with Xbox Series S. It can run all those games. No, it cannot. It's been proven that even Xbox One X, a console that launched way back in 2017, outperforms Xbox Series S in the GPU department, and sometimes in other areas too. I think the one thing that Series S has over the Xbox One X is just the faster CPU. Yeah, that's it. Even the memory is a downgrade on this Series S console, from going from 12 gigabytes on Xbox One X to just a measly 10 gigabytes. That's only 1 gigabyte more than PS4 Pro. So there you have it. Let's keep it real, people. The Xbox Series S was a terrible mistake, and you all know it, but you won't admit it because the ridiculous blind allegiance, the fanboyism is so strong. They'd rather blame another company that the reason for the Xbox Series S not being the best console, it must be Sony or somebody else's fault. Cannot be Microsoft. Cannot be. Well, this article proves it. So moving on to PlayStationLifestyle.net in our next news story, it's also confirmed that Xbox needs revenue from PlayStation. I did a live stream just yesterday or the day before where I detailed that Xbox needs PlayStation. A lot of pushback on that, but here's the article, which comes out much after I put out that stream. So Xbox needs revenue from PlayStation, admitted Phil Spencer. Xbox boss and head of Microsoft Gaming in general, Phil Spencer, has once again explained Microsoft's decision to release select Xbox games on PlayStation, stating in no uncertain terms that the gaming division needs revenue from more platforms to remain viable. Spencer has often been criticized for inadequate communication when it comes to Xbox's future plans, but in a very candid interview at Gamescom 2024, which is still going on, I might add, he made those plans crystal clear. Despite all the rumors, Indiana Jones PS5 announcement surprised many because Microsoft initially went out of its way to pull the game from PlayStation, as it admitted in court while battling the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. During a Gamescom livestream, Spencer was quizzed about the announcement, to which he responded, "We run a business. Last spring, we launched 4 games on the Switch and PlayStation, and we said we were going to learn. I think at the showcase I might have said that from our learning, we're going to do more. Spencer added that Xbox's franchises are getting stronger and the console player numbers are also up, but he didn't elaborate on the latter part of the statement, only going on to say it's definitely true inside of Microsoft that the bar is high for us in terms of the delivery that we have to give back to the company. Yes, they must make money because shareholders want money. Spencer cautioned that the games industry is rapidly changing and the community should expect more changes accordingly because there's a lot of pressure right now from a business and financial standpoint. He said that Xbox's multi-platform push is a strategy that'll work for the platform as it endeavors to continue growing. So there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. It's in plain English. Phil Spencer has said, and I'm not surprised because at the end of the day, Grounded, one of those initial 4 games that released on PlayStation, has crossed 1 million units sold on PlayStation. And I'm sure even the internet surfing half-wits will concede that 1 million sales is better than 10 million players making absolutely zero contribution to the IP outside of the monthly Game Pass subscription fee. And not only that, if we go on further, and I've posted on X, formerly Twitter, about things to do with Black Myth Wukong not being on Xbox. Like I said, the delay to Black Myth Wukong is not due to the deal which doesn't exist with Sony, but issues with the shite, yes, very shite, Xbox Series S underpowered BS current gen console Microsoft foolishly released alongside the way more capable Xbox Series X. Fact. We've all been saying it for some time. And people say, oh, Microsoft not making money, but they're still here. Well, Microsoft is still here because they have an endless pool of money and they keep throwing money at a failing division. Like, just how stupid of a human being are these people who think this way? Also, there's an issue with the sales increasing. Unfortunately, some really don't offer any tangible replies to posts on X or anywhere else on social media. And, these posts that seemingly perturb them, like common sense posts or factual posts. All you get is just this emotional, nonsensical rebuttal that makes zero sense because they come from a place of ignorance and blind loyalty to objects or entities that do not even acknowledge their existence. It's like a systematic slave mind mentality, isn't it? Absolutely. And Microsoft just keep making mistake after mistake. Xbox head Phil Spencer claims that times are changing. The industry is changing. You're going to see this across the industry as a reason to put games on PlayStation. Well, somebody should tell Nintendo and Sony, since they don't put their games on Xbox. Their games do not go to Xbox. So it's not really affecting them per se. Yeah, Sony goes on to puts games on PC, extra revenue, why not? But how bad is it that they can still keep their games off Xbox and Xbox can't keep their games off other consoles? I guess it's easier for Phil Spencer to blame the entire industry instead of, fessing up to the piss poor decisions Xbox has made over the years. And at the end of the day, we're 4 years into this generation and Xbox games are now going to other platforms. Games are skipping Xbox. Game Pass price increases, multiple times. Nintendo Switch 2 is coming and Sony are about to unleash the most powerful PlayStation. It has the powerful PS5 Pro. But yeah, Microsoft want to offer you an Xbox Series X special edition priced at $600, literally just featuring an upgraded 2 terabyte SSD as storage. Can you effing believe it? I'm sure you can. Anyway, that's the news for today. I hope you found it factual. Don't get your heart too broken, will you? Because, truth always comes at a cost of pain, and it's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? But it's absolutely a factual position that we find ourselves in at this conjuncture in the games industry. But if you like this sort of thing, like, subscribe, hit notification, enjoy your weekend. Until next time, play games, not corporations.